Hello and welcome. This is the evening with the creative class. My name is Dwayne Cyrus, and I am a professor in the School of Dance at the University of North Carolina at Greensboro. And I am have organized a project called the Resistance Project that stems from my personal belief that it is important to uplift, uphold, support, and listen to the voices of Black women, women of the African diaspora, and toward all of our benefit. That's something I believe very importantly. Of course, I dedicate this effort to all the women in my life, my mother, my sister, my aunties, nanas. Um, but I am aware of how in our society there has been a tendency to place the Black woman at last or at the bottom of situations, and I don't believe that. Some of the most powerful knowledge, intelligence, and love have come from Black women. And so the Resistance Project for me is a way of uplifting those voices in scholarship, in art, in business, in community engagement, and in organizing. And so I have been working for more than a year now on the Resistance Project, working with students at my university, working with professional artists, working with community partners, and you'll get to meet some of those people this evening. But before I go any further, I just wanted to let you know that I am home and I'm in my power room, which is green, one of my favorite colors. Also green you could see on the Resistance Project logo, which was designed by Devin Newkirk. Um, and this backdrop, I don't know what it's called, but I like it. I like the way it looks. And I want to also say, more importantly, that the University of North Carolina at Greensboro, where this live stream is coming from, is located on the traditional lands of the Kiawe and Saura Chera indigenous peoples. And it's important for us to recognize that. I would like for our venture this evening to honor those people with our work. And I'd like to thank Dr. Aisha Boyce for providing us with that knowledge. So today, the conversation is the role of the artist in today's society. Very important, I bet most of you would agree. And we have an amazing panel that is intergenerational. I have two of my students, Kasaya Cedeno Ballard and Azaria Gadsden. I have one former student who is now an alumna, Journey Smith. And then we have joining us community partners and professional artists that include Naya Bowman, who is a former dancer with the Martha Graham Dance Company, and she is also an entrepreneur. We also have Dr. Aisha Boyce, who is in the School of Education. And we have author and educator Dr. Karen Meadows, who will also be part of our panel. I would love for this to be like a intergenerational discussion. People who are watching us through live stream, if you have questions, I believe there's a box where you can enter those. There may be about a 20-second delay. So if you have a follow-up, we'll try and be patient with that to make sure that you get in. But ideally, what you should expect after I finish with my spiel is we're going to share some of the artwork that has come out of the Resistance Project research. And so Kasaya, Journey, and Azaria will be sharing some of their work. And then I'd like to go into a open discussion with our featured guests, Naya Bowman, Dr. Aisha Boyce, and Dr. Karen Meadows, based on your questions, but also based on this in particular question of the role of the artist in today's society. Let's see, what else can I tell you? The School of Dance at UNCG is doing amazing things. So you see me sitting here, you want to believe that I'm not pressing any of the buttons that's making it work. So I want to thank Amy Masters from the School of Dance and also Eli Motley, who is a graduate student. They are the ones that have helped make this possible with their work. But also, funding for the Resistance Project has been received from the College of Visual and Performing Arts, the College of Visual and Performing Arts She Can, We Can initiative, also the faculty grant, and then externally with New Music USA. So there'll be much more happening with Evening with the Creative Class as we go along. So I hope that you'll keep up with us and stay posted. Our next Evening with the Creative Class will be in March 24th, 2021. Who knows? It might be face to face. But nevertheless, we are using technology to our best advantage. Let's see. So I think I'm actually going to go ahead and ask our panelists to come in and just a quick intro from them before we go into sharing some of the work. So we have with us Kasaya Cedeno Ballard. Come on in if you can, Kasaya. Hey.
Hi.
Hi, Kasaya. I'll bring everybody in and then I'll ask for a little intro. And then we have Azaria Gadsden, who might be preparing for something, but she's there. Hey, Azaria. We also have Journey Smith, recent graduate from UNCG. Nice. And then we also have Naya Bowman, one of our featured guests, coming to us from, is it New York? Are you in New York?
No, I'm in Barcelona now.
That makes us international people. All right, Barcelona. And then we have Dr. Aisha Boyce, who's from the UNCG School of Education. Hi. Hi, Aisha. And Dr. Karen Meadows, who's a North Carolina educator and author of Pedagogy of Survival. Folks, if you could just give us maybe 1 minute, it's all yours. I know we'll come back and hear more from you, but just a little intro and hey to the audience. We'll start with Kasaya.
Thank you all for coming today. I'm really excited to present my work to everyone this evening. My name is Kasai Cedeno Ballard. I am a choreographer, dancer, educator, student, and activist. I am a rising junior here at UNCG, currently studying dance performance. It has been a remarkable experience to be able to work under Professor Dwayne Cyrus here at UNCG as a research assistant for the Resistance Project and researching the theater of movement process.
Thank you, Kasaya. Azaria.
Hi, everyone. Thank you all so much for coming today. My name is Azaria Gadsden, and I've been doing research under Professor Dwayne Cyrus for about a year now. I just really love dance, and I'm also a visual artist as well, which you'll see later. We've been working on the lynching of Black women and how that hasn't been expressed or seen in social media or media in general for years. And I'm just really excited to share my work.
Thank you, Azaria. Hey, Journey.
Hi, everyone. My name is Journey Smith. I'm a choreographer, activist, and artist, and I'm really looking forward to the discussion that we're going to have tonight.
Thank you. Naya.
Hi, I'm Naya Bowman. Dwayne, thank you for the invite. I'm really excited to be here. I'm a dancer, I'm an actor, a dance educator, and I'm an entrepreneur. I own a tour company that specializes in history that's been exclusive. So we focus mostly on Black New York history or indigenous and also Hispanic because my husband is Hispanic. So we have wrapped that in along with the history in Barcelona. We do tours there too. And I'm excited to be here and I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Thank you, Naya. Dr. Boyce.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much, Dr. Cyrus, for having me. I'm excited and looking forward to the conversation. I'm in the School of Education and I'm a research methodologist. My work primarily evaluates the effectiveness of educational programs, especially those in marginalized populations. And I also research how to support undergraduate and graduate students of color.
Thank you. And Dr. Karen Meadows.
Good evening. Thank you, Dr. Cyrus, for having me. I'm actually the researcher who's paired with Journey. I'm so grateful that she decided to take on my research and hopefully turn it into a visual piece of art for you. I am an educator, an author, a school counselor specifically, an adjunct professor, and I think I'm an older activist. My activism is more in research and really learning about our history, so we have a more historical context to really make some great reform and reform that's sustainable. So thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Thank you, Dr. Meadows. So, folks, before we get to the work, there will be about 3 works that we're going to share with you. In 2019, maybe the spring, I started working on the Resistance Project, and it was informed also by a project that I did before that called Hero Complexities. And why I'm telling you that is because one of the things I learned from that process, which was funded by the Provost Strategic Seed Grant for Vibrant Communities, so that's the part that makes it relevant, was that there was a huge component of community engagement. So yeah, you can make artwork and it's great and everybody, clap, they buy tickets, but how are we engaging communities? Are we asking communities about what they need? That is where I picked up that bug seriously doing that work. And so I thought, well, hey, let's go try it. If it worked the first time, try it again. And so the community engagement is so necessary. So not just being in the studio making work or in my head in the book reading, but getting people, making linkages, forging alliances with people in the community. So there's so many things that are happening that I can't explain all of them. But tonight we will definitely see some wonderful examples, and we want to be in discussion, not only the 6 people here, me making 7, but really with everyone that's watching. I should point out, just for accuracy, I am not a doctor. I am a professor of dance. One of the things that happens in art disciplines is the terminal degree is a master's degree. So I'm not a PhD, but have a master's degree. But I'm a PhD of the world. The point is, those titles and words that we put so much on. I wonder if you all, just to get the kind of conversation going a tiny bit, your thoughts about the role of the artist in our world today. What thoughts do you have about it?
As an artist, for me, I feel like with our presence and what we bring to people, I think it touches people beneath the surface. And I think that that's kind of where most connection happens between people, and that our actions are usually based on how we feel within. So I think that by making these connections through whether it be art, dance, singing music, anything, I think that by connecting with people in a way where we're all on the same base really allows us to make change.
Yes, connection, yes.
I agree. I think making a connection is really important either with the audience or the people that you're working with. I think now, within the last few months, with the reckoning that's especially happening, which is actually kind of history repeating itself, I think, every few years, that I think Black culture for us, it's always been part of our culture to either tell stories through our art or continuing to inspire not only ourselves and our community, but others. And I always find, like, personally for myself as a dancer and the type of dancing or the work that I have done, it's always like me just being a dancer is part of my activism of doing roles that I was told I could not do, or going back and revisiting roles that I didn't want to do because I was a Black woman expected to do that. And so for me, representation is a huge especially now that I'm an older artist, is a huge part of dancing, performing, and speaking out. And also, when I do teach, to let my students know that they also have the power to speak up. Either it's through dance or just curiosity or rebelling and asking the question, why? Why can I not do this? And the last few years I have been really into that, because I've always been the person that spoke of why can I not do this? So I agree with the connection, continuing to tell stories, continuing to represent, continuing to ourselves being that symbol of the resistance, or the symbol of the future or the present, that we're always here in part of the culture, either American culture or in the entire global culture.
Thank you. Any other thoughts?
I definitely agree with everything that's been said. I think it's important as artists that we are aware of what our art is saying, especially in moments like this where there's so much going on and so much that needs to be said. It's important that as artists, we continue to create art and recognize what our artwork is saying to our audience, what it's saying to history, and recognizing that there are different forms of activism and different ways to show resistance against or resistance for something, and that everything that we do as artists is meaningful, whether we intend for it to be or not. It's always going to read something and say something. And so the responsibility of the artist is to have a higher sense of awareness of that.
Mm-hmm. And Journey, I'm not ignoring you. I'm having people texting me at 7:18 going, "Where the link?" So I want to make sure. So people talk on. I'm just trying to do, the other job. Please continue, Journey. I appreciate your comments.
I'll just say, as someone who's a consumer of art, I felt that especially in times like this, that sometimes various forms of art resonate with me more and can be more powerful than, even someone giving a speech. So dance and music and pictures can move me and others to really feel empowered and feel like we're able to make a difference. And so for me, I think as someone who consumes it, the beauty and the power behind the work, as Journey was just saying, sometimes I don't even know what it means, or I'm making my own interpretation from what the artist has been trying to portray, but it can really resonate with me and be very deep.
It's interesting that you said that, because I also view dance as like an unspoken language in a way. And I feel that the role of the artist, especially today, is to capture and express emotions and things of importance in your community or society, and also to present knowledge and be able to communicate that to your audience in whatever facets you're able to.
Yes.
And I think about art as really bringing information to life. You guys have used words like symbolic, touching you in a different way. I know if we do even research on kind of how our brain works and the lenses that we look through, you think of the experiences you have, the images you see, it all affects your consciousness. And so it's very important, as all of you have said, that we are really aware of what our art represents and what we are putting out there, because you can be impacting people in ways that they're not even aware of at the time. So it's incredibly important.
I agree, Dr. Meadows, and that's why I think education is so important. And more I realize, and UNCG might get mad at me, whatever, that education is not an institution. It's not a building, right? It's not a rubric. Education takes place in so many ways. Yes, I did learn we all learned some valuable things from the courses, but it's what happens after the course, what you're retaining, what you're applying, and what you're passing on. And I see that in Africanist cultures. I see education all the time, whether the written word is involved or not. That type of education takes place, and that art and vision and imagination are deeply rooted in the education process. It's not something that you've got to get the state to approve, right? That art is automatically a part of it. Um, and so, all right, well, thanks from Ann Overcash, who says that it's powerful and they believe that the arts are powerful. Thank you, Ann. Folks, keep coming in with the comments. I think it's okay to head toward presenting so we could have more time for discussing after. Thank you, people, for those initial comments. So we're going to close out our cameras, most of us, and leave Kasaya, who's going to tell us some amazing stuff about her work. Kasaya, I'm out. I'm still here, but I'm out.
All right. Hi, everyone, again. I'm Kasaya Cedeno Ballard. If you just jumped on the call, I am a junior here at UNCG studying dance performance. I am an activist, choreographer, dancer, educator, and student. I'm going to be talking to you guys briefly about what I did this summer researching for Dwayne, and I'm going to show you guys a clip of all of my research. So let's get started. The Resistance Project is designed to uplift Black women and their voices through multidisciplinary facets. To me, this project is much more than only uplifting voices and creating awareness and community engagement. It's about immersing ourselves in activism and change. And I am constantly finding ways to navigate my Blackness in ever-changing white spaces. This project also aligns with the campus-wide initiative for 2020-2021 She Can, We Can by addressing themes of resistance and activism by women of the African diaspora. Currently, I am working on my proficiency in the theater of movement process under Dwayne Cyrus to define and understand intersectionality along with Black feminist theories, and to critically understand the historical context for resistance by Black women in 1960s America. My research is focused on Anna Julia Cooper, who was an educator, writer, teacher, and activist. Cooper has important ideals about feminist philosophy and standpoint theory. She also goes on to write about critical philosophy of race and African American philosophy in her dissertation. The research I did on Cooper was mainly focused on her ideology and theories rather than her story. My research findings include text investigations, experimenting with movement ideas, analyzing my everyday life for inspiration, and finding other disciplines to express my research. The video I am presenting is a product of movement ideas collected from various articles and works by Anna Julia Cooper. I recorded this work on the beach because of the significance of the ocean to people of African ancestry and myself. The ocean was used in the transatlantic slave trade to transport slaves and cargo for goods and wealth between the 16th and 19th century. For that reason, I wanted to bring attention to a landmark that was once considered to be feared and avoided. I'm going to show you guys the video. And while viewing the video, be aware of what you're getting from the video emotionally, psychologically, things that you think about, maybe experiences that you can relate to what you're seeing. And I will open it up for questions. Being a woman of color means I have to work harder to meet society's normal standards. It means that I have to worry about my little brothers growing up in a world where hatred leads to killing. Being a black woman means being vigilant and aware of my presence, my tone, and the way I carry myself. Being a black woman means being looked at differently than your black male counterpart when our blood runs the same color. Being me means finding ways to navigate the art world with little people who look like me. It seems that the only sisters I have nowadays are the ones that look like me. Walking into dance classes and being the only person of color, it feels empty. That's why it is so important to me as a black woman to create spaces in which black faces feel safe. Being black is a gift. We must embrace it.
Thank you, Kasaya. So, Kasaya, I appreciate that, and I know we're going to do larger questions after we see all the work, but I know since this is fresh in people's mind, one of the things that I appreciated about this work that you did, and folks are saying beautiful, all kinds of, you getting comments, which is very nice, clap hands and whatnot. But you make me think of Yemaya, the Orisha goddess of the ocean, that having you there by the ocean, and that the music was the sound of the waves. That was powerful. I also found powerful the kind of impressionistic look to the video, like not that it was in a sharp focus. That impression was strong to me. It makes me think about the marginalization of Black womanhood, like kind of, just because of that image not being fully in focus. But Kasaya, please talk about the significance of your performance at the beach at night. That was one question that you had.
So the time of day wasn't really planned. I was just going out to the beach with in mind that I was going to improv on some ideas that I had been researching for the past week. And I kind of, I guess, isolated myself in coming up with ideas that I want to express with my movement. So I went to the beach with my friend and I was like, can you record me improving on some ideas I've been working on? And it just so happened to be at night. So that's where the idea had came from. I knew that I wanted to record it on the beach because of the significance about things that I was touching on earlier, the transatlantic slave trade, how people of the African diaspora connect with the ocean. And there's also so many like different folk tales. There's one called Haijung the Conqueror that, yeah, I was also keeping that in mind too, that story. And Azaria will probably touch on it in her presentation. But yeah, that's what I was thinking about.
Well, good. Well, thank you, Kasai. Yeah, Hi John the Conqueror was, I might mess up the story, but was someone that was said to follow the slave ships and was basically carrying or ferrying this captives back home. That would make it what is the word? Not a fearful thing to jump overboard to go back home. I might be saying that wrong, but it's generally. Tabia M says, I'm enjoying the sounds of the ocean as it brings emotions of calmness and fear. Your work with the spoken words really impacted your dance. I wanted to know why some of your dancing wasn't in focus.
So the real reason is because I kept kicking water in the camera because he was trying to get an up close shot and I was just going for it. But going back and editing the video, I had another night there, so I could have recorded more in focus, but I just felt like this way spoke to me more. It impacted the video more. And what Dwayne was saying, I feel that like Black women were seen as cut and clear when we're going through a lot, and people might not see beneath the surface, but everything can be kind of blurry sometimes. So that's why I chose to leave it out of focus.
Thank you, Kasaya. Nice work, nice work. So, let's go and move on. Let's keep it moving. Kasaya will be back, people. And let's bring in Journey Smith. All right, hey Journey. I'm gonna step out and let you have the floor.
All right, thank you, Dwayne. Hi, everyone. Again, my name is Journey Smith. I'm a dancer, a choreographer, an activist, and an artist. My work that I'll be presenting is really focusing on the collaboration I have been working on with Dr. Karen Meadows and her book, Pedagogy of Survival. And it's focusing on the work of Dr. Josephine Boyd Bradley. She was the first African American to desegregate Grimsley High School here in Greensboro, North Carolina. And my creative work really focused on her psychological, emotional, and spiritual journey as she went from leaving her safe all-Black school, Dudley High School, to Grimsley. And I was able to work with some amazing dancers who also go to UNCG, and they allowed me to create on them. And we had a lot of great discussions on what it means to be an activist and to be young and to be put in dangerous situations and have to make very mature decisions for not only ourselves, but our entire race, our entire community, and for generations ahead of us. And so I brought Dr. Meadows here tonight to speak more about her research, since it was the cornerstone of my work as an artist.
Hello, thanks, Journey. So yeah, I was so fortunate to be partnered with Journey. She is an excellent student, very creative. I don't feel like I did much but share my text with her. I did highlight some of the pieces that I thought could really move people forward and help people reflect on their own lives. As she said, more of the psychological, the spiritual. When we do research, we can read many of the archives. Most of those are very factual. It's either the Negro girls, they are rarely called by name. Very little about their actual feelings or the psychological effect, which often takes years, sometimes most of their adulthood, to even come to grips with. The goal of the research was really to share history, really reflect on what trauma feels like, and also the story behind why they were even the chosen ones, so to speak. My main goal, which is the title of the text, Pedagogy of Survival, was to really find out, how did they survive? How did you survive in a hostile environment as a lone warrior with no protection? And you are 15, 16, 17 years old, supposedly being in the prime of your life, enjoying your high school experience. And so what I gleaned from my interviews was just patterns of behaviors and things that they determined really helped them make it through and survive and really speak for a collective race. So I will let Journey show her work from here.
So the work that you're about to see has been in development for a few months now. We recorded it during the beginning of the social distancing order that was put in place. So all of the dancers were in their own homes, in their own spaces, and we were communicating through technology. And I gave them a bunch of different prompts and texts from Dr. Meadows' book to glean from and gain inspiration from. And then I created this clip that you're about to see.
Your greatest awakening comes when you are aware about your infinite nature. Amit Ray.
When I discover who I am, I'll be free.
I can see a flicker and
Ralph
flutter.
Ellison.
There's a light on in the attic.
When I discover
Thought the
who I
house is
am,
dark and
I'll be
shuddering.
free. Ralph Ellison.
I can see a flicker and flutter. And I know
When I
what it's
discover
about.
who I am, I'll be free.
There's a light on
Ralph
in the
Ellison.
attic.
Your greatest awakening
I can
comes
see it
when
from
you
the
are
outside.
Your greatest awakening
When I
comes
discover
And I know
who
you're
I
on the
am,
inside. Looking out. Shel Silverstein.
I was warm by the river in a little tent, and oh, just like the river I've been running ever since. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gon' come. Oh, yes, you will. It's been too hard living, but I am afraid to die, 'cause I don't know what's up there beyond the sky. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gon' come. Oh, yes, it will. There's been times that I thought I wouldn't last for long. Oh, but somehow I think I'm able to carry on. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gon' come. Oh, yes, it will. And then I go to my mother. Can you help me? I said, Mother, could you help me, please? Help me, please. She said, I'd like to, I really would, but I'm just not able. And then I looked around, and I was right back down on my knees. Oh, there's been times that I thought I would last for long, but somehow I think I'm able to carry on. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gon' come. Oh, yes, it will.
Thank you, Journey. So I was listening to some of the reading some of the comments that came in, Journey, and you got comments from folks. Well, first, let me say this, everyone. On the replay of this, this live stream will be available after the event, and the incredible Amy Masters has already told me that she's going to edit in the larger one because we were giving micro there for whatever technical reasons, but she'll edit it so you could see that beautiful dance much more clearly. And Janet L said that it's stunning work, Journey, so moving. And Bree F said, I'm interested in knowing one or more of the prompts you gave your dancers to generate the movement.
So I gave two different versions. So there were some prompts that were direct quotes from the book, or really the interviews. So they were words spoken by Dr. Josephine Boyd Bradley about how she was feeling in certain situations, the isolation that she felt. And I gave those quotes to the dancers so that they could read it and internalize it for themselves. And then I gave more like direction sort of prompts where I had them dance only facing one certain way, or focusing only on a certain type of movement quality, just to generate more versatility in their improvisation and choreography. And then sometimes I just gave them like small words to kind of think over and come up with whatever that they could.
Thank you, Jeremy. And just one more comment from Jonah C. before we go to Azaria. Jonah C. said, even though each dancer is in their own space, I still feel as if it is a collective. Just amazing. Yas, A. Cut said, I'm feeling the movement and the song choice, everything in my soul. And of course, Dr. Meadows is thanking you for bringing her research to life. So we're proud of you, Journey, and keep going with those ideas. So now, speaking of ideas, people, if any of the folks here that are watching know me, I can't just do one thing. It's got to be something and then something else. So what that means is we really wanted to attempt live performance. So we're sitting here talking, we're doing all these Zooms, but what does live performance look like in a socially distanced world? So, A Battle says you didn't let social distancing stop you from bringing these dancers together and inspiring. So now we're going to do another presentation from Azaria Gadsden, and hers will be live. She's coming to you from our Theater 306, which is the dance studio on campus at UNCG, where they've been practicing safely all semester. And so, Azaria, come on through. And that's Faith. Faith is Azaria's tech guru.
Okay, thank you so much everyone for coming. Yes, my name is Zaria Gasson, and today I will be showing you the research, the dance research and the visual art research that me and Professor Dwayne Cyrus have been doing for over a year. This work is informed and inspired by the lives of 3 Black women, Harriet Jacobs, Mary Turner, and Laura Nelson, all women who had to go through many trials and tribulations, 2 of which were lynched. And just to bring awareness and light and voice to what they went through, I will be showing you visual art pieces and dance movements, and I hope you enjoy. Thank you so much.
Your jacket.
All right. People, yes, this is happening at UNCG. Come through, says R. Washington. People said they see the passion, beautifully embodied performance, C. Schrader. I see you, sis. There's all these amazing comments. I appreciate it. I don't want to spend any more time on this, my mug. I want to bring in Aisha Boyce and Naya Bowman, along with Journey, Azaria, and Kasaya, and Dr. Karen Meadows. People just come on in. I think it's conversation time. I know there's questions, comments, feedback. I just want to encourage you all toward the discussion. So can we bring back our panelists? Excellent. Yes, people. So I'm gonna leave it, especially now, to Aisha and Naya. I know there's tons for you to say. I hope that inspired you. That's how we do at UNCG. But yes, yes. I'm actually gonna dip out and let y'all talk. All right. I'm here if you need me. And the question, by the way, is purpose.
Great. Wow, that was everyone. That was beautiful. It's really, for me, it's really inspiring to see young Black female dancers, because you all look like me and you remind me of myself. And I have a lot of questions too, and a few comments. I don't know where to start. First, I'll start with Azaria, because you were the last. I'm just really curious why green. Oh, bye honey. Okay, we'll talk. They're like lights out. She's done. Goodbye. Hello. Okay.
On the work lights, but was that the rest of your question?
Well, the first question is why green? Like why green? Why shorts? Why the white tank? Why the necklace? Why? Yeah.
Okay. So I wanted to wear jewelry because I know for me, it's a big deal. I feel naked if I go outside without earrings on. I think that's a very, like, at least for me, not for all Black women, but I think that it's a staple. And I think that we wanted this to look very casual. I think that it would be a disservice to a lot of Black women to wear like a leotard and tights, because that's not what most of us look like in our everyday life. So and then green was mostly because it goes with the color scheme that most of my art pieces follow. So I figured it would make sense.
Did you also paint the portraits too?
Yes, everything that you guys just saw was an original artwork of mine.
Wow.
Yes, 2 of them were created during our research period with Professor Dwayne. The jacket and the last piece, the red. I can probably go show it.
Yeah.
And I have a follow-up question too, Naya.
This piece in particular, it's
Wow.
yes. I'm trying to find good lighting, by the way. I apologize, everyone.
No, you're great. Wow. That's a self-portrait of you? Yeah?
Yes, it is. That is me.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Thank you.
Alicia had a follow-up question.
Yeah. Azaria, I know you're not by this one, but the painting that really spoke to me was the one, she was painted blue and it said whack. Can you tell us a little bit about that one? Like something about that, I just like felt my heart go, ooh, you know, so maybe can you talk to us a little bit about that? And then also talk to us about that you didn't have any music, right? So we could hear the movement, we could hear the socks on the floor. Can you speak to that as well, please?
Yes. So for the piece Whack, which my amazing friend Faith just brought to me, was definitely inspired by my Blackness. I feel like for me, it's a Black term. I've only ever really heard it in my social setting. And I think that the attitude of it was very like, this is like just, it was very fly, like I'm fly, I know what I'm about, and that sort of thing. And I felt when I was making this piece that it was really important to show the Blackness without making her Black. That's why her skin is not a skin tone, it's blue. And I just wanted there to be certain symbols in the piece. And I felt like it, for me, said a lot about being Black, being in this environment, being around Black people, the safe spaces of Blackness, how we move in those spaces. And I wanted that to inform my movement, so I wanted to share it. And then I think you asked about the sound, like why I had it on. This was actually a last minute decision, but I really felt like hearing me breathe. And I have certain songs I connect with certain phrases that I did. So I felt like if you guys could maybe feel that rhythm, it would be better than just seeing me do it in silence, because then I felt it wouldn't read.
Have you ever thought of like doing this piece outside? Because like you said, you just say like more pedestrian, and I could see with the whack, which I'm just gonna say, I love that you're bringing it back to the late 80s, 90s. That's just totally middle school for me. I know I look young, but I have a deal with the devil. But it just don't crack. But the whack and the one ponytail, I see the piece outside. Yeah. Even if you're barefoot or in your socks, like walking through this space, and if it's a film also, and it opens with your jacket, which also is the throwback to the late 80s when we had our denim jackets and we had somebody paint on. I love it. I love that. I love all of that. But I do see you like in the street, and your soundtrack being noise of the street, even if you make your own noise, or like you're in North Carolina, unlike New York City, there's always noise. But you can always like record the noise, but I would love to see it in the street. Or even your live photo, like your portraits live, like with a live woman, or it's you just dressed in enough, just dressed as with whack, or you become like your piece, or you come to life like in The Wiz. Okay, I'm done.
No, thank you. I definitely am hearing you out. Actually, during our research my research with Professor Dwayne, most of the phrase work that I just showed, I had been doing outside. I went to Atlanta for a month during my research period, during COVID, but it was really empty in the city, which is weird for Atlanta. So the very last section was inspired by some improv that I did at Underground Atlanta.
I would, as a non-dancer, I'll just say the silence was riveting. I mean, it's like there is so much portrayed in the silence. And then I wondered, Dr. Boyce, I had the same question, like, I wonder why there's no music. You rarely hear that. And when you just said about you wanted us to hear you breathe, I instantly thought of George Floyd. Yeah. And, even when I was watching it, just, the protest, it's almost like the primal part of us, just the biological, if you think of the protest and all that's going on, we're looking at it philosophically, but just the real human toll and what it takes to protest, the physical effects of protesting. I felt all of that was running through my head as I was watching it in the silence. And I'm sure people have many other interpretations.
That means so much. Thank you. That was the goal. So that means a lot. Thank you.
Good.
So what is your like Dwayne said, like our talk here is purpose. So what's your overall purpose? Like how far do you want to go with this piece? Like what do you want the piece to be, not only for your audience, but for yourself?
Yes. So this piece for me is in the works. We're calling it Find Your Wings right now, which is actually based on the story that Keziah and Professor Dwayne brought up earlier, talking about the folk tale of High John the Conqueror, who was basically this amazing trickster. He was, captured like everyone else during slavery, but the story is that he jumped off of a slave ship and flew. And he was just like, I know I'm gonna fly, it's gonna be fine. And then he did. And so it was like this sort of like hopeful moral that people were trying to move with. And that for me meant a lot because it's kind of like being brave enough to do the thing that maintains your freedom. A lot of this research was about autonomy. The women that I was speaking on, that I said inspired this work, all made a choice. And although the consequences were not ideal for all of them, like Mary Turner, Mary Turner, her husband was lynched and she spoke out about it, and she ended up being lynched while she was pregnant. And that was devastating, but she made that choice, and that was her taking her autonomy, which no one can really take away from you. They'll try, but they can't. And I think that really did something for her. And for me, she's a legend, you know what I'm saying? So, and then it's choices like that. So I feel like for me, my purpose with this work is just, for me personally, it's having agency, keeping my agency, knowing what it is that I want to do, doing that thing, and showing people that they have agency, that they can do the thing even if it's not ideal or going in a specific direction. So morally, I want to help people if we're being basic, but the research has a lot of depth to it. So yeah.
I'd like to ask Journey a follow-up question. Journey, can you walk us through, so you have like all of these different videos, can you walk us through how you decided to snip and put them together? Because they were definitely, when it first started, I was like, is this the same person? Because it's like, it would go and then it would go to the next person there. And it was like, the whole thing was beautiful. Can you walk us through that?
Sure. So it was interesting creating like a film because I'm normally used to choreographing for live performances. And I decided to go about it the way that I do my normal rehearsals, which is I'll have an idea in my head, but I don't try to commit to anything before I enter into the space, because I find that I get the most creativity when I'm like in it with everyone. And so I had a vision of what I wanted the overall film to look like, but I wasn't sure what they would do as far as like their movement. So I didn't know like how I was going to manipulate everything. So it took a minute to get the flow of what I wanted to do, but I found just going with my gut, and I reviewed all of their videos and just sort of cut where I saw it in my head as fitting and telling the story that I wanted to tell. So it was a fun experiment, and it took a little bit longer just because you're working with video that you've never seen before and you didn't like personally choreograph. But yeah, that was sort of my mindset going into it.
Can I throw a question in for Naya Bowman, Karen Meadows, and Aisha? When you talk about with this idea around purpose, you're all at points in your life where you've sort of you've charted a purpose, a direction, education, art. When you're looking at these young folks, how do you understand your own position around purpose? That was a mean question, huh?
That was a loaded question. I know, it's so complex. It's a dichotomy because it can be so complex and so simple at the same time. I think you're always evolving to some degree in your purpose, but I think there's a core belief or a core to your purpose that maybe is a strand that doesn't change throughout your life, throughout your experiences. I think the more experiences you have and the more encounters that you have when you think you're doing your purpose alters your purpose. And I don't know if that makes any sense, but that has been my experience, you know. So for me, I think my purpose is to serve. I think that's where I do my best work. That is where I get the most reward. That's where I feel like my skill set is an asset. And so it comes natural. I don't have to force it. But in serving, there are so many lessons, good and bad, that you learn that may alter maybe your purpose or how you serve. It doesn't mean that serving changes. It just means how you serve. And I think you have to be courageous. I think of all like Azaria, what you were saying, the lady and the lynching when you're pregnant. I think you have to make hard choices, and you have to be willing to stand behind those choices. It's almost like if they say you have to stand, if you don't stand for anything, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. So you have to be courageous in your decisions. You have to be willing to stand alone to live in your purpose. It's not always like, you know, all the self-help books. It's going to be kumbaya. Sometimes it is extremely difficult. And you have to trust your gut, even when things look totally different or the total opposite of your purpose. And so that to me really lends into spirituality and keeping your faith. So when you talked about the gentleman jumping off and he believed he could fly, you know, the winning is in your belief, not really in the consequence. And so I'll stop there.
Aisha, you are in education, and it's such an important and you know. By the way, I don't understand why teachers are not paid like athletes. I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, you're in education, and I wonder what your thoughts are about purpose. A lot of our dance majors will become educators, if not most, if not all of them, will have some degree of doing that at some point in their career. And I know that your specific focus around education is looking at inequities. What can you say about education and purpose?
Yeah, I think that being able to pursue education, and I agree with you, that does not just mean in an institution, right? I believe that the ability and the opportunity to pursue education is a privilege. It should be a right, but it's still a privilege right now. And for those who have the opportunity, I truly believe that they should be able to support themselves and support their families, and they should be able to have the life that they want for themselves. And I think that seems like, oh, like a trivial thing, but to me, that's so important. And, you know, when I get up and, you know, come in front of my computer now, I don't come into campus right now, I still get excited. I get this, like when I go to sit down and read an article, or when it's time for me to start class, I get like these little excitement butterflies where I just can't wait to meet with the students. And I can't wait. And for me, that's like, there's like these little symbols, there's these little signals that show me what my purpose is. And, you know, I think back to the killing of Kevin Lamont Scott in Charlotte. Some of you may remember a few years ago. And I, as a Black woman in academia, I had students coming into my office and talking to me, crying. Some of them I knew, some of them I didn't know. And, you know, up until that point, I had a lot of feelings of like, can I make this? Am I good enough to be a professor? You know, we all have imposter syndrome, right? Which is a whole nother series. But when I had students coming in, and the fact that they were like, I was just walking by and I just saw someone who looked like me. And for me, I was like, okay, God, like this is, I'm where I'm supposed to be. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be. I'm fulfilling my purpose because just as Dr. Meadows said, like, I also believe that I'm called to be a servant leader, right? And so that means putting my students first sometimes, even if it means, staying up late or getting up early to do other things so I can make sure I have that time. And I find it like so incredibly fulfilling. And so I think, the fact that I'm able to, contribute to supporting my family, the fact that I'm able to mentor students, especially students of color, and the fact that I still like get this little giddy excitement, like I'm like, okay, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And so I think what I truly believe is that everyone should be able to have that. And until you like get that little excitement, then you got to keep pushing. You got to keep seeing, where it is that you should be at. And I think it's a privilege to be able to, like I said, pursue higher education. And so everyone should use that to the absolute fullest.
I was told I need to turn my camera on. I was trying not to be male present. I was trying to let this be, but I appreciate all the things that you all are saying. When you look at what's happening, we had a debate, a presidential debate last night, when some people are empowered to tell hate groups to stand back and stand by. There's a lot, we don't need to turn this beautiful moment into anything negative, but the mindfulness that we practice as artists and scholars and educators is important to be aware, and that's why purpose was so relevant for this evening with the creative class. A lot of times, one thing I often think about with organizing, and I got to make sure I tell you all about this book, but with organizing is that sometimes folks go in with the assumption that, all right, I already know what the outcome is. I'm going to save the world. And I'm not going to ask the world how they need to be saved. I'm going to just tell them, I'm going to bring them rice and socks, and they're going to be saved. And so we know that can lead to problems and actually make things worse. So my question for all of you, as like you all talked about your passion, my passion is organizing and doing things like this. What do we need to do? Like what needs to happen? So it is, yes, beautiful work. The comments are amazing. People could see this again. It'll be available on YouTube. But what do we need to do?
And we need to get Naya's purpose.
I'm sorry. Thank you.
That's okay.
See how men do? That's what I'm talking about. Right. Okay, come on, Naya.
She was so patient.
I'll do the purpose along with what I think we need to do. Like, I agree with both with what was said. Like, my purpose when I'm looking at you three young dancers, you're young artists right now, and I expect, like, I'm watching you and I'm thinking, wow, like this. I remember that feeling of I could take the world, at your age. Like, there's all of this, and I still hold this hope because I think hope is the most important thing. And like Dr. Meadows said, like the faith and lately I'm so into this new show Lovecraft and listening to the podcast, which I highly recommend if you're not afraid of scary movies and stuff. But there was they were talking at one point, or maybe it was something about believing in something you can't see, but you feel it, and it's so strong in you that it burns. And I remember leaving college being told that I can't, and my whole purpose was, oh, hell yes, I can, because I was raised entitled that I can do anything, And watching you, all three of you, and the feeling of the activism, because when I was your age, I didn't think of activism. I was just thinking more, I guess, like Michael Jordan, of my being is activism. My being, me, I'm the dream of my ancestors. Because I know the story of my ancestors, that me existing and doing what they dreamed, my dream has become my goal that I plan to do. But as I got older, especially always hitting certain glass ceilings and not really understanding what that meant until I was in my 30s, but still holding on to this hope that my purpose is to continue to be that example, but to share and to serve what I know. And my father would always say this, like, there's 5% of the world that knows the truth, that tells the truth, that shares the truth, and 10% that knows the truth that refuse to share. And the others are in oblivion. Like they're just living through the world. And so my purpose is to share what I know, to give that access, to teach, to educate that. Because I know, like, growing up as a dancer, there was this idea that you were born with dance. And then, you know, one day I thought, wait a minute, I put all this skill in. Like, it is a practice like anything. And so especially when I teach and I mentor, I always make sure, like, you have to have hope, you have to have the consistency, the commitment, and the plan to make that dream in existence and not a wish. You know what I'm saying? So when my purpose is to continue to keep going, and the evolution of watching young artists helps me move forward, because when you get older, that feeling of I could take over the world becomes, oh gosh, the world has taken me, and kind of, you know, I feel that heavy load. And sometimes it's hard to wake up. It's hard to, like, go forward. It's hard to do it, but then to watch young artists, or to listen to someone that is young artists like me, you know, my age group, and still being inspired. And so what I feel like we need to do now, especially watching the debate and staying up until 4 o'clock in the morning in Barcelona to watch yesterday, is that we have to tell the truth. That we, no matter what, that we have to be inclusive and are right. Because right now my focus is absolutely Black women, absolutely Black people. I have no shame in saying I'm all for the party of Black people and empowering Black women. From the age of in my belly, or as soon as you start crying and you get the smack on your booty when you're born, you know? And so you have to speak up. And if you're not, if you don't have that courage to speak up, to fight back, I'm okay with that too, because there are other ways to do that. And those ways are your existence, because your existence is important. Because what you do is important. Even if you're the checkout girl in Rite Aid or Walgreens, you are still important. So that's what I feel like we have to do, and to speak the truth and to educate ourselves. Because like Aisha said, like, it is a privilege to be educated, but it's our right to be educated also, especially if we think of our ancestors, especially when we think of our ancestors all around the world, and our ancestors, where we come from. And we are part of the civilization of not only the United States, but the whole freaking world. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. So that's what and Naya means purpose. That's what my name means. It means purpose. It's pronounced Nia, but we say Naya because that's prettier. My mom liked that better. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I believe. That's my purpose, is to serve, to share, to exist, to keep going, to influence, to inspire, and to and to just keep. And if you need somebody, like I always say to everyone, you need me, I would be there. I will have your back.
And making purpose, one of you mentioned, and Tabia M said, wow, making my purpose not be a wish, but an actual plan. And all of you here, the 6 of you, are demonstrating that type of plan. And I know we're coming to the end. I wanted to share my screen really quickly. Host a disabled attendee screen sharing. Okay. Hook me up if you can over there. I just want to share something real quick. And that would be, hope you can still hear me. This book I've been reading and I've started a book club with some folks I meet with weekly. After the death of George Floyd, I was compelled to start meeting with a range of Black folks, but mostly young artists on a weekly basis to have affirmation, to talk about Black health, Black wealth, Black survival, all of those things. And not at the exclusion of anyone else, but definitely at the inclusion of Black folks, okay? And so this book is called Unapologetic by Charlene Carruthers. And Charlene Carruthers helped to found BYP 100, the Black Youth Project 100. And I think it's really resonant, especially for our young people. But it's a good read. And she's talking about a lot of, you all just mentioned it, Naya, you talked about being unapologetic. And that is the thing now. We respect our brother that passed this year that was talking about, what does he call it? Good trouble and peaceful protest. I understand that. But we have to find ways to protest and stand our ground where we are that doesn't get washed away by legislation. And it's time. It really is time. And that's my purpose. And I hope that it inspires other people. It is 8:29. Do we have any last comments? Yes, and then we have another Nia who graduated from our program, and she says she concurs. Naya, she concurs. And hey, Dylan, all those folks, BJ, it's so nice. Kim, thank you for coming. Folks, any last words? Journey?
I really enjoyed watching the work that was showcased tonight. I enjoyed hearing everyone's understanding of their own purpose. It's really encouraging to be able to talk with and hear from other Black artists and educators, and to know that we're not alone in this. It can often feel like there's so many problems to tackle at once, but to know and see and hear the people who are standing in line with us is really encouraging and inspiring. So thank you.
Thank you, Journey. How about Kasaya and Azaria?
I just want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. This has been a really great experience, especially being in this space with you all. It's very empowering to know that I have a network behind me and so many people who just want to see us succeed. And it's very enlightening, and I appreciate all of you.
Yes, to go back on what Kasaya said, this means so much to me. Everyone who commented, thank you so much. You're helping me move forward in this work. This is not the end of this work, like I said earlier. And I just hope that everyone stays blessed. Have a good night. Thank you for sharing with us. It wasn't just us sharing with y'all. Y'all were sharing with us. This comment section is on fire. Like, everyone, thank you so much.
And please, our special guests, and I want to show you all one more book while they speak. Any last words from Dr. Meadows, from Dr. Boyce, or Naya? Oh wait, was I muted? Oh, I'm just looking up one last link. Aisha?
Yeah, I would just say remain encouraged, remain in faith, and make sure that you have a community of people who will support you, who are down for you, who will be like, yes, do that. That's what we need. We need those people who are gonna support us. And I say continue to seek out and to move towards your purpose. And that's everyone, the young women here, my colleagues around me, and those who are in the chat.
And I say ditto to all of that. I mean, it's just as much as a pleasure for us, I think, as it is for you guys. I think remembering to always give back will always get you a reward in some form or fashion. People always help me. I think I feel like Dwayne, I feel like I had 3 moms with my mom and my aunts, and my mom passed away when I was like in my 20s. So to have that already formed, I feel like God already knew what I needed ahead of time. And guard your hearts and your mind, because you don't want everybody to share you don't want to share your vision with everybody. But oftentimes be open to help. Help comes in really unexpected places. And don't be afraid to ask for help. So I would leave it there.
Yeah. I would like to piggyback off of that, Dr. Meadows. Don't be afraid to ask for help. And also as dancers, and it's hard because we're judged literally by everything that you sometimes, like, because it's so close, literally, because we judge each other. Basically, you're half naked, you go in front of people judge the way that you look, how big you are, how small you are, and then we come back and say thank you, we want some more, like a masochist. It's just out of control. But you have to, like, but the biggest thing is, like, you have to, as a dancer, you have to find your voice. And you don't allow anyone to define the type of artist you want to be, the type of dancer you want to be. Remember, every teacher, every person you come across is like a tour guide to help you to become the artist that you want to be. You take things in. If things make you feel uncomfortable, you can say, and I love to say this is my new thing, I don't hold space for that. That's it. I don't hold space for that. And then the person starts, they don't know what to do. But you as a dancer, because it's so easy for us to go into our own skin, to hurt ourselves emotionally, to talk ourselves out of things, that we have to be a little stronger skinned. But you're not alone, especially as a Black young artist, dance artist, as a Black woman dance artist, because it's hard, and it is harder for us, but I believe you can still do it. But you know what I'm saying? And you just have to decide what type of artist you want to be, and don't let someone decide that for you.
Absolutely.
So, and you're not alone, and ask for help.
Absolutely, Naya. And I think that's a great way to finish. I just want to share one more thing with all of you, is Dr. Karen Meadows' book is called Pedagogy of Survival. And this is her website, so pedagogyofsurvival.com. You can learn about the book. It is also the narratives of Millicent E. Brown and Josephine Boyd Bradley. That name should sound familiar to our UNCG campus people, because the name is right outside campus, right? But please check this book out. You can order it in more places than Amazon. We have to collectivize our money, remember that. But check this book out. And people, I want to just say thank you so much. You inspire me. I know my sister is proud of me for doing this. And I see you all as my sisters as well. So please, people, keep coming. The next evening with the creative class is March 24th. But certainly from the School of Dance at UNCG, I do not have the list, but uncg.edu. Is it / DCE Amy, help me out? But you can find out about all of the amazing events that we are having in the School of Dance, and we have a YouTube channel where this will be available to you. So people, thank you so much. Please be well, and bye-bye. Thank you very much. Thank you, Naya. Thank you, Aisha. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
Bye.